Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is the brother Yair Radah, right? I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, who the world inwardly calls God, and Yahweh Shai, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ, right? Coming at you, man, with a breakdown, right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? Hopefully, Lord willing, by the end of this video, y'all edified, right? And today we're going to get into fallen angels, right? Fallen angels, right? Are there such thing as fallen angels, right? Because we got a lot of people in this truth, and a lot of people who like trying to find their way into this truth, and it's easy to get caught up in the concept of fallen angels, right? Right? It's people get enticed by the fallen angels doctrine, right? And they also get misled, by the fallen angels doctrine by these different books out here, like the Book of Enoch, right? And they try to precept them with things that go on in the scriptures, but they're not properly breaking down those scriptures, right? And what those scriptures are actually talking about, right? Those books and those different doctrines of fallen angels are completely contrary to the scriptures. It's not, they don't link up with the scriptures, right? So we're gonna go through a couple of things that that people will try to use to try to justify fallen angels, or if there are fallen angels, and we're gonna go through rightly divide the word of truth, right? And we're gonna see that that's just not so. But by the end of this video, Lord willing, you're gonna see that the Lord, the Most High, has all things under subjection, man. Right? All things under subjection. You didn't have certain angels who rebelled against the Most High, right? And he didn't know that it was gonna happen. He didn't know what was going on. He like, dang, man. Yeah, Satan then took 2/3 of the angels with him, right? 2/3 of the angels with him. Whatever people try to come up with and say, man, it's just madness, right? But that's because they not rooted in the word, and they don't properly go through and break down what those scriptures are talking about, right? So we're gonna go through a couple topics and things that people will try to use, or they get tripped up on. They just genuinely get tripped up on it, right? So we're gonna go through and we're gonna cast those strongholds down, and we're gonna get into it, right? So we're gonna start off with the book of Genesis chapter 6, right? Genesis chapter 6 is something that a lot of people like to easily just try to throw in there, like, the sons of God, the angels came down and had sex with the humans. Nah, that's not what's going on, right? So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get right into it, right? This is Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1, and it reads, "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose," right? Salakia. So people will read that right there, verse 2, and they say, look, right, the angels that came down here and they start having sex with the women, right? Blase, 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 right? But in this context, the sons of God are not talking about angels. Now, we do know that throughout certain scriptures in the Bible, the sons of God are referred to as the angels, like in Job, the 1st chapter, right? When the Most High called the sons of God to up in heaven, and they basically had a council about Job, right? And Satan came also, right? So yes, sometimes in the scriptures, the sons of God are referred to as angels, right? But sometimes the sons of God are referred to as the chosen people also, right? Even before there were Israelites, you had a chosen bloodline, right? And let's get Luke chapter 3, right? Let's get Luke chapter 3 and verse 37, right? Because we gotta go through these things, and we gotta, like I said, we gotta rightly divide the word of truth, right? This is the book of Luke, chapter 3 and verse 37, and it reads, "Which was the son of Methuselah? Which was the son of Enoch? Which was the son of Jared? Which was the son of Maliel? Which was the son of Canaan? which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. Right? So Adam was the son of God. Right? The Israelites are sons of God. Right? Everybody is not a son of God. It's a bloodline that the Lord dealing with, who he called the sons of God. Right? So Adam was a son of God, and his bloodline also. Right? So you gotta realize in this context, it's not talking about angels, man. It's talking about the sons of God at that seed line that Adam had. Right? Let's get Exodus 4:22. All right, let's get another one. All right, let's get another one. Let's get Exodus 4:22. Right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 4 and verse 22. And it reads, "And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn." Right? So the Lord called the nation of Israel his son. Right? So that will make what? Israel the sons of God. Right? So you have more than one instance of humans being called the sons of God. Right? So people, they read this and they say, oh, that's talking about the angels, blah, blah, blah. Let's keep reading on. Right? I'm going to read 2 again. It says, this is Genesis chapter 6 and verse 2. It says that the sons of God, right, Adam, seed line, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose, right? The daughters of men are the women of the other nations, right? The women of the other nations, right? You have more than one, you have more than just Adam people on earth at that time. You had a great multitude of different people on the earth, right? A lot of people like to get caught up in, oh, Adam was the first person, and then it was Eve, and they did it. Nah, it was more people on earth. Salakia, more people on earth than just Adam and Eve, right? They weren't the first people on earth. Adam was the first chosen, right? Let's get that real quick. This is the book. This is Genesis chapter 5 and verse 2. It says, "Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created." Right? So it was more than one person who was called Adam. I'm going to read that one more time. This is Genesis chapter 5 and verse 2. It says, "Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam." So you have more than just one Adam back then, right? That's where you get the whole notion of the Adamites, right? So Adam wasn't the only person on earth at the time, man, right? It was a multitude of people. The Lord created a multitude of people at one time. It just wasn't, okay, one person, then another person, and then that created everything. Nah, it was a multitude of people, right? Even Cain, when Cain went off away from his family, it says after that he went and got married to a woman. Well, if what people say, if Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel are the only ones on earth at that time, right? Which some people say, if they're the only people on earth that time, Abel got killed by Cain. The only thing that's left is Adam and Eve and Cain, according to certain people. Cain left and went and got married. Who did he marry? If they're the only people on earth at this time. It doesn't make sense, right? And it's telling you right here, it told you in 5 and 2, Genesis 5 and 2, that he called their name Adam. The Lord created abundance of men and women, not just one. It wasn't just one fish, and then it wasn't just one fish of each type of fish, right? You had a male fish and a female fish, and then they all just, no, it was an abundance of fish, just like it was an abundance of animals, right? So let's continue on. Let's continue on. Let's go to Romans 8:14 real quick. Let's get one more on that. As far as who the sons of God are. Right? Let's get one more on that. Let's get Romans chapter 8 and verse 14. Right? This is the book of Romans chapter 8 and verse 14. And it reads, for as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. Straight like that. It's not just talking about angels, right? You got humans who are the sons of God, right? I didn't even tell you that in Romans chapter 9, right? The whole Romans chapter 9 is talking about who are the sons of God and who are not the sons of God, right? Straight like that. So that whole little notion is just not rooted in the word, right? Let's keep reading on in chapter 6 though. It says, verse 3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So he cut man's lifespan, right? Verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children, they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown, right? So people, they read that too, verse 4, and they say, okay, so where did the giants come from then? You gotta realize, people back then on the earth were not the same size as we are now, right? Even in the book of even in the book of 2nd Esdras, it tells you about how the longer the earth goes on, the more things wax weaker and weaker, right? Same thing that applies to this. This is early on in the stages of the earth, right? When Adam was on the earth, things were much bigger at that time period, right? Let's get a precept on giants in the scriptures, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 3. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 3, and we're gonna see about the size of this. Some giants were in the time of Moses, right? Yeah. It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 3 and verse 11, and it reads, for only Og, king of Bashan, reigned of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead, right? So a bedstead is the layout of your bed, right? So this is a giant's bedstead. We're going to see, as we read on, we're going to see how big it was, right? Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. It is not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon. 9 cubits was the length, right? If you look that up on your phone or on your computer or whatever you want to look it up on, 9 cubits is 13 feet, right? 9 cubits is 13 feet. So this giant had to be anywhere between 9 and 10 feet, maybe 11 feet tall, right? Maybe 12, right? That's how tall this giant was, because I mean nobody is as tall as they bedstead. I mean, well, normally you would get a bed that's bigger than you are, right? So you can comfortably fit in it, right? So this giant had to be anywhere between 9 feet and 12, 11 feet tall, right? And this is in the time of Moses, right? 9 cubits thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man, right? And 4 cubits is 6 feet, right? So it was 13 feet by 6 feet, right? So that gives you a pretty good estimation of how tall these giants was, right? In the book of Enoch, they talk about how they was 40 stories high and all this and that. That's off. They was going around eating people and trees and stuff. That's not biblical. That's madness, right? So we going through there, right? Let's get another account. Let's go to 2 Samuel 21. All right, let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 21 and 20. Right, because David encountered one of these also. Right, David was fighting giants. Right. It's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 21 and verse 20. Or Salakia. 2 Samuel, Salakia. Salakia, Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 20, 21, verse 20. And it reads, "And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number, and he also was born to the giant." Right? So David, they had to encounter these giants, right? And you gotta realize, back then, a lot of people were like people now who probably walking around here like 6'5", 6'6", 6'8", right, 6'9". They would be considered probably like normal people back then. That's probably would be like the normal size for being on the earth back then at that time, right? If you 6 foot, right? If you 6 foot, 5'5", 5'6", 5'9", right? They would look at you like something was wrong with you, right? So because the more you go out in time, the weaker the earth gets, the more the weaker that the vessels get also, right? So that's Genesis chapter 6, right? So we talked about who the sons of God were in this context. The sons of God are talking about the bloodline of Adam. But they were going off and looking at the other women of the other nations, right? That's what it is when it talks about that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. That's not talking about fallen angels came down here and they was lusting after humans. That's off, right? That's not what the scriptures is talking about, right? Let's get another one. Let's go to another thing people may stumble upon or try to use. Let's go to Jude chapter 1 and verse 6, right? Let's go to Jude 1 and 6. Right? Because people try to use this too to try to say, well, look, even in the scriptures it talk about how there are angels that's bound up, right? Or angels that's in everlasting chains, right? We're gonna rightly go through the word. We're gonna go through the word and rightly divide the word of truth to see what it's actually talking about, right? This is the book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 6, and it reads, "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation." Salakia, I'm going to start at verse 5. This whole thing is really... I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, "For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to the condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness, and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not." Right? Because even in the wilderness, yeah, he brought all of them out of Egypt, but he killed most of them. Why? Because they were murmuring against the Most High. They didn't believe. Even after seeing Moses part the Red Sea, right? Even before that, they seen all the plagues that the Most High put on the Egyptians, right? All the plagues, killing the firstborn, right? Having everything darkness, but the children of Israel had light shined upon them, right? Everything else was pitch black. It's so thick that you could feel it, right? They talk about that in the book of Exodus and the book of Wisdom of Solomon, right? And from all those things, hail mingled with fire, right? To Moses parting the Red Sea, to having the chariot hovering over them literally the whole time, watch them destroy the Egyptians in the Red Sea, right? They seen all these things and still they bucked up against the Most High and didn't believe, right? So what the Most High do? The Most High put them to death, right? Verse 5. I will therefore, or Salakia, verse 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness until the judgment of the great day. Right? So people read that and they say, oh man. So it is a such thing as fallen angels. No, it's not a such thing as fallen angels, right? Let's go and break this down precept upon precept and see what it's talking about, right? We'll read it again. It says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the day of the great day, right? Unto the judgment of the great day, right? So who are these spirits that's in everlasting chains, right? Let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 21, right? Let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 21. Right? This is the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 21, and it reads, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God, right? So what is bondage? We all know that bondage is like, you feel me, being held captive, right? Being held against your will. You held captive, you in chains, right? Let's read it one more time. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of the corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God, right? We're those bodies that's held in everlasting chains, right? In darkness. That's us, right? That's why the Lord came and preached to us, right? We're those spirits that the Lord came to preach to in prison, right? Let's get 1 Peter chapter 3, right? 1 Peter chapter 3. Let's get it. Let's prove it. It's the book of 1 Peter. All right. It's the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 19. Chapter 3 and verse 19, and it reads, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, right? Who went and preached to the spirits in prison? Yahweh Shah did, right? He went and preached to those spirits in prison, right? Which was us, because we were in prison, right? We were bound, right? In these sinful bodies, right? Through our mind, right? Through the law, right? But now what? We have liberty, we have faith, right? And we have repentance, right? He released us from those things, right? Let's get some more. Let's get some more. Because Salakia. Let's get Matthew, let's prove that. I'm gonna read it one more time. It says, and I'm gonna read to 20. It says, this is 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 19, and it reads, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometimes were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah while the ark was preparing, whether few, that is, 8 souls were saved by water. So now let's go to one of the accounts. Let's go to the book of Matthew, right? Let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 4. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 4 and verse 16. Come. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 4 and verse 16, and it reads, "The people which sat in darkness saw great light, and to them which sat in the region, and shadow of death, light is sprung up. From that time, Yahushua began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." So he's preaching to the people, right? Let's read that one more time. And we're going to go to 1 Peter 2. Right? It says, "The people which sat in darkness saw great light," right? That great light is Yahushua, right? And that darkness is the oppression, sin, and Satan, right? It says, "The people which sat in darkness saw great light, and to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up. From that time, Yahushua began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Right? Let's go to 1 Peter 3 and 19. It says, "By which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison." We're those spirits that's in prison, right? That is talking about in Jude chapter 1 and verse 6, right? We're those angels that fell from our first estate, right? You got to remember, your spirit was already created before the earth was created. We was up in the third heaven, right? And then we were sent down, right? It's not no fallen angels, man. The angels, they didn't rebel. They didn't rebel, right, from the Most High. They was like, man, I'm kind of getting tired of this, man. I'm getting tired of how Yahushua and the Most High talking crazy to me, right? Then one day they all hell break loose. Now they fighting, right? They fighting. The Most High like, son, come help, right? And then Michael, Yahushua, and the Most High, he get out of his throne, and they beat him down, and then they send him to earth. Now you got all hell breaking loose on earth. You got damn angels having sex with humans. And the Most High don't got no control over it. That's madness, man. Come on. That's madness. We're those angels. We're those spirits, right? Let's get some more accounts. Right? Let's read. Let's go back to Jude and read that real quick. This is Jude 1 and 6. It says, "The angels that kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day." Right? So let's get Isaiah 61. Let's get Isaiah 61 and 1. All right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 61 and verse 1. And it reads, "The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound." Right? That's not talking about fallen angels. That's talking about us, right? And that's a prophecy, right? Of Yahushua coming and taking us out of the prison, right? Of being bound, right, in darkness, right? And then we're now that we know Yahushua, right, we keep the law, statutes, and commandments, we walking in the ordinances of the Most High. He took us out of that darkness and brought us into the light. right, of his son, right? Let's get another one. Let's get Isaiah 42. Let's get Isaiah 42 and 7. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 7. And it reads, to open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. Straight like that. Straight like that. We going through and we showing you multiple precepts in the scripture, because you got to go, like it tell you in Isaiah 28 and 10, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. So we showing you and we giving you different precepts, showing you that we're those angels that fell from the first estate, that are bound in prison chains, right, of darkness, right? Yahushua came and preached to those same spirits, which is us, right, that are in everlasting darkness, right, and brought us out of those, right? Let's read that again, right? To open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison houses, right? Let's get one more. Let's get Psalms. Let's get one more. Let's get Psalms 146 and 7. Let's get Psalms 146 and 7. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 146 and verse 7. And it reads, which executeth judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food to the hungry. The Lord looseth the prisoners. Once again, we're those prisoners. I'm going to read that one more time, because the Lord is the one that's loosening us, right? We're the ones that's bound in prison, right? If you still celebrating damn Christmas, Thanksgiving, you still smoking weed, right? You don't know your nationality. You don't know that you're Israelite. Don't know that you God's chosen people, right? You lost in this world. You love the things of this world. You materialistic as hell, right? You in Christianity, you in Islam, you in Buddhism, you in all these other different philosophies of this world that the world got to offer you. You bound in chains, man. That's talking about you, right? Let's read that one more time. It says, which executeth judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food for the hungry. The Lord looseth the prisoners, right? Straight like that. Right, now let's go to another one that a lot of our people, they either struggle with. Once again, like I said, some people they genuinely just don't know what it's talking about. They struggle with it, or some things that people will try to use to try to justify fallen angels, angels rebelling against the Most High, so on and so forth. Right? Let's get in it. This is Revelations chapter 20, right? From the top, verse 1. And it reads, And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. All right. Verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Right? So a lot of people struggle with that, understandably. First, let's figure out who the dragon is, right? Let's figure out who it's talking about, what it's talking about, the pit, so on and so forth. We're going to break this all down, right? So let's go to, I'm going to read it one more time. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, right? Let's see who that dragon is. Let's go to Job 30 and 29, right? Let's go to Job 30 and verse 29. All right, this is the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 29. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. The dragon is a so-called white man. Straight like that. And we're going to go through the precepts and prove it. This is the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 29. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls, right? Now, we all know that you got Jacob and you got Esau, right? Jacob being the Israelites, and you got Esau being the progenitor and the father of the so-called white race, right? So Job right here is saying, he said, look, he said, I am a brother to dragons. I am a brother to these damn Edomites, man. I'm a brother to dragons and a companion to owls, right? Let's get another one. Let's get Psalms 44 and 19. Psalms 44 and 19. Right? Come on. This is the book of Job. Salakia. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 44 and verse 19. And it reads, though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons and covered us with the shadows of death. Right? Where are we being sore broken in the place of? We being sore broken in the place of our oppressors. Right? Who runs the world? That tell you that in Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Right? He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Right? So-called white men. Right? The so-called white men. Right? I'm gonna read that again. Though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons and covered us with the shadow of death. Right? Let's get another one. Let's go to the book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 3. Right? This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 3. And it reads, I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Right? Straight like that, plain upon tables. Through multiple different scriptures in the Bible, the dragon is identified, right, as a so-called white man. Right? So let's go back to Revelation chapter 20 and verse 2. And it reads, and he laid hold on the dragon, so-called white man, that old serpent, so-called white man, which is the evil spirit that he moves in, which is the devil, which means deceiver, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. That's not all talking about Satan, man. It literally just separated the devil and Satan. It literally just separated. Says that old serpent, which is the devil, comma, and Satan. Right? And bound him 1,000 years. Now, a lot of people get tripped up on this 1,000 years and they say, oh, devil and Satan, he getting bound for 1,000 years. What's that? What is that? What's that talking about? What's that 1,000 years? We're gonna through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, we're gonna go through it. Right? Let's read on to verse 3. And it reads, and cast him into the bottomless pit. Right? So what's that bottomless pit? Right? That bottomless pit is a landmass. It's Europe. Right? That's what it's talking about. Let's get it. Let's prove that. Let's prove it. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras. Right? Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 5, verse 23. Right? This is the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse 23. And it reads, and said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood in the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. It's the vine tree. And of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit. That one pit of all the lands that the Lord chose is the Israel. It's Israel. Right? That's the Lord's only pit that he chose. is Israel, right? And it said the land, right? So when you read Salakia, so when you read this, when you read verse 3, and it says, and it cast him into the bottomless pit, that's talking about a landmass, right? Now, what landmass is that talking about? It's talking about Europe, right? Let's go in it. Let's go in it. Salakia. Go to Revelation chapter 17 and verse 8, right? This is the book of Revelation chapter 17 and verse 8, and it reads, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition, that they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Now, that beast that was and is not, and that was and is not and yet is talking about the Holy Roman Empire, right? It's talking about the Holy Roman Empire that used to exist, but now it came. But after it failed, they came back as Great Britain, right? That Holy Roman Empire, Romulus Augustus was the last empire of that kingdom, right? He was a let's go to it. Let's go to Second Esdras chapter 12 and verse 19. This all ties in. This all ties in. You got the pit being Europe, right? That's where they were bound at. Back in Revelation 20 and 3, it says, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more. Talking about the white man. The white man shall deceive the nations no more. Salakia, bear with me. Shall deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. That 1,000 years already happened. That 1,000 years started in the 5th century, right after the fall of Romulus Augustus in 476 AD. Salakia. When Romulus Augustus was the last Holy Roman Empire ruler, in 476 AD, when he fell, that was the end of that. That was the end of that. And even if you go up and type it in on whatever you want to type it in on, these scholars even tell you that was the start. When he fell, that was the start of the so-called Dark Ages, or the so-called Middle Ages, right? Now, in these, and we're going to get this in the scriptures, but in the so-called Dark Ages, or the so-called Middle Ages, in that time, you had Israelites ruling. You had so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, Native American Indians ruling Europe at that time. That's the time period where you got the Moors, the coat of arms. You had those things going on. You literally had so-called black knights, and you can look these things up on the internet. Also, they got multiple different pictures and paintings of these things too. Also, right? You had different rulers in that time too that were literally ruling Europe. Now in school, it's a reason why they don't teach you about the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages. In school, all they do is they tell you, oh, we don't have enough information to really cover the Dark Ages. All the information and files and artifacts and everything from that time period was lost. We don't know anything about it. If the white man not the damn devil, man, I don't know who is. how do you miss, or how do you not have over 1,000 years? 1,000 years. This is not 2 bit. 1,000 years of artifacts, history is just completely wiped out. You don't know nothing about what happened from the 5th century all the way to the 15th century, but you can tell me, so-called, what happened 5.3 billion years ago. A lot of you jakes, man, y'all gotta stop putting y'all trust in everything the so-called white man tell you, man. It's not gonna do nothing for you. You just gonna keep being led astray your whole life and keep going into Christianity, worshiping white Jesus, man, and celebrating these pagan holidays. Right? You can't be tossed to and fro in this thing. So we go to school and they teach us that, look, we don't really know too much about what happened during that time. We lost 1,000 years of information. Therefore, we don't really know about that. They literally go from the time period before. After that, they skip over 1,000 years of history and then go right into the Renaissance era. It's madness, right? And Renaissance means rebirth. What was rebirthed? The so-called white man's history was. Right? That's where you had iconoclasm come in, right? And the Russian icons and things of that nature, right? When they went and did what? They whitewashed all the images because we was ruling during that time period. That's what that 1,000 years is. But let's get back into scriptures. Let's get back into scriptures. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 12 and verse 19. And it reads, "And whereas thou sawest the 8 small under feathers sticking to her wings," this is the interpretation, "that in him there shall arise 8 kings, whose time shall be but small, and their years swift." Now, these are the Holy Roman Empire. They're rulers at the time. They all ruled for a short amount of time, right? Romulus Augustus, who was the last one, he literally only ruled for a year. And that was it, right? They all had short times, right? Salakia. Khan. Verse 21, and it reads, "And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching," right? The 2 that are going to perish is talking about the Holy Roman Empire, right? All the way down from Nerva, all the way down to Romulus Augustus, the time that he fell, right? That's what that's talking about. And then peep what it says. I'm going to read it again slowly. It says, "And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching." What is that middle time approaching? The Middle Ages. In the Bible, straight like that. It was prophesied. It was prophesied. "The middle time approaching, 4 shall be kept until their end begin to approach, but 2 shall be kept until the end," right? The middle time approaching is talking about the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, right? When you have what? You have Israelites ruling Europe during that time, right? So let's go to Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3 again, and let's read it again, and let's use and put everything in the context, right? But let's start at verse 2. It says, "And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years." Now that dragon is the so-called white man. What? Him being bound 1,000 years in the pit, which is Europe, is him coming down from power. And who? The other nations raising into power, chiefly the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, coming into power and subduing the so-called white man. It's gonna tell you that in the next verse. "And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up." They weren't in rulership anymore. "And set a seal upon him." They couldn't come back into power. that he should deceive the nations no more. Who deceives the nations more than the so-called white man? Nobody. Nobody. So-called white man literally deceives everybody, right? They deceive people, telling them that it's okay to be a homosexual, right? It's okay to be in a bestiality, right? It's okay for two men to get married. It's okay for a grown man to molest a child, man. They literally, as we speak, going through and changing the consent years, age requirements, right? Through predictive programming, right? You can't even watch TV without them throwing some type of homosexuality on you, on your kids. It's in cartoons now, TV shows. You can't even watch a TV show without some homosexual stuff coming on. That's why I don't even watch TV, right? They got trannies coming up to the schools and teaching you about how to be a tranny, right? The so-called white man deceives the nations, man. They deceived that what they made the biggest deceive in history in painting Yahweh Shah, which people ignorantly call Christ or Jesus, right? They painted him to be a so-called white man, when clearly in the scriptures it tell you that he a black man. Dark-skinned black man, right? So this back to like back onto it though. And set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. Right? So in that 1,000-year period, so-called white man's not going to be in power. He can't come in power. He's going to be subdued by these other nations. Right? Until what? And after he must be loosed a little season. Excuse me. Right? He was loosed for a little season, right? That little season that he was loosed is right now. We living in that time right now, at that little season of him being loosed still, right? That's that time period that we living in right now. That 1,000 years already happened. It happened and it started with the fall of Romulus Augustus in 476 AD, from the 5th century all the way to the 15th century. That's that 1,000-year time span of which the dragon, the devil, and Satan were cast into the bottomless pit, which is Europe, and they had a seal upon them that they should not deceive the nations anymore, right? You had so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians and other nations ruling Europe at that time, right? A lot of people say that Simptis Service was a so-called black man, right? He was. A lot of people say that he was one of the first rulers. He was one of the first rulers to rule in Europe of Israelite descent, right? King Arthur, right? King Arthur was a so-called black man. He was an Israelite, right? King James was an Israelite. Right? A lot of people think that King James was a so-called white man. King James was an Israelite, man. He was an Israelite that ruled in Scotland for some time and ruled in was the King of England, man. Right? He even had his own currency of him being a black man. But what happened once the Renaissance era came back in, once that 1,000 years was over with, and the Renaissance era was pushed in, Renaissance meaning rebirth. What was rebirthed? The so-called white man's history was. And what did they do with iconoclasm and the Russian icons? They whitewashed all the images. That's why it's so hard nowadays to find images, real images of that time period, because they went through and whitewashed all of them. It's not destroyed. They try to sit here and tell you, oh, we don't know what happened during that time period. So it's a 1,000-year time period where you just don't know what happened. You just lost that history. Nah, they got that history, but they don't want to teach you that history. They don't want to teach you that the so-called black man was ruling Europe at that time, man, for 1,000 years. They don't want to teach you that stuff, man. Right? So, That's what that 1,000 years is, and that's what the dragon and the devil and Satan being cast into the bottomless pit is talking about. It's talking about the reign of the so-called white man being diminished and being subdued, and the other nations coming into power, right? That they should deceive the nations no more. But they got loosed again for a little season, and right now we're living in that little season, right? So that 1,000 years already happened. So people don't have to go and say, "Oh man, you had fallen angels that fell for 1,000 years and this and that," or whatever people try to come up with and they try to say. You got some people, man, that say that we're gonna get the kingdom of heaven, then after 1,000 years, the devil gonna come back. It's madness, man. And we're going to have to start all over again. It's madness, man. It's madness, right? So we going through different different scriptures in the Bible that people will get tripped up on, right? Or that people that will try to use to try to say, oh, yeah, it's fallen angels this or giants this or whatever the case it wouldn't be. But we going through and we rightly dividing the word of truth, letting you know that that's not the case. We letting you know and we breaking these things down through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. Right? Now, let's get some showing you that can't no angels disobey the words of the Lord, man. The Lord controls all things. All things. Even man. It tell you in the book of Proverbs that man's goings are of the Lord, therefore how can a man understand his own way? Right? So, man, you don't even control your own ways, right? The Most High has all things under subjection. Everything obeys his command, right? The angels they don't get tired and say, well, I don't feel like doing what he's talking about today. Nah, but we're going to get the scriptures, man. We're going to let the word, we're going to let God be true and every man a liar, man, right? Let's go to the book of Hebrews. First, let's go to the book of Hebrews chapter 2. Book of Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 5. Right? This is the book of Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 5. And it reads, it says, "For unto the angels hath he not put in subjection the world to come whereof we speak?" Right? That's a rhetorical question. It's like, look, did he not put these angels under subjection? Yes, the Lord has all things under subjection, man. They obey his will. They cannot go and disobey whatever command or word he gives them. There is no fallen angels, man. There is no such thing as that. Right, I'm going to read it again. It says, "For unto the angels hath he not put in subjection the world to come whereof we speak." Right? Straight like that. Let's go to Proverbs 16 and 4. Right? Let's go to Proverbs 16 and 4. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 4. And it reads, "The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of trouble," man. So look, all things was made for his benefit, man. He made everything for a specific reason, right? He made Satan and the angels on the left hand side for a reason, right? They was born that way, not born, but they was made and created that way. Not one day he used to be a good angel, then all of a sudden he was up there playing the organ. Then all of a sudden he got mad at the Most High, flipped the organ over and said, "Man, bump this. I'm going and I'm doing my own thing. If you want to follow me, come and follow me." And then 2/3 of the angels, they all went down too with him. No, that's not what happened. They was created that way for a purpose, right? It tell you that in the scriptures. But right, let me read that again. It says, Salakia, "The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil." Right? So if you was created simply for that day, man. Right? Let's get some more. Let's get Revelations 9 and 14. All right, let's get Revelations 9 and 14. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 9 and verse 14. And it reads, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates, right? And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Straight like that. So these are not, so the Lord didn't, like, angels didn't become demons. No, they got a purpose. If they doing wicked, it's because that's their purpose. That's what they were supposed to do. The Lord gave them a commandment, and they did it. Now, they're not being held there in chains because they did something wrong. No, they being held there because they're there for a specific purpose. That's their purpose. Let me read that again. It says, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns, Salakia. Verse 14, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Right? So these angels are literally created and are going to be loosed at a specific time, date, year, month, all the way down to the second, man. They're created for that one reason, right? It's not because they did something bad. No, they being bound and held there for a reason, because the Lord wants them there, man. Right? Let's get another one. Let's get Revelation 7 and 1, right? Because it's another instance like that, right? And it said, this is Revelation chapter 7 and verse 1, and it reads, and after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth. Now, these winds are other angels. That's what these winds are, that these four angels are holding. They like the commanders. These four different angels at the four corners of the earth are like the commanders, the generals, right? And they holding back they angels. They not literally like, hey, nah, don't go yet. But they just sitting there in command, waiting for the decree from the Most High to be loosed, right? We gonna read that. It says, angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Right? And that's talking about these nations. Right? That's talking about the nations, the earth and the sea. Right? Verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of the Most High in their forehead. Straight like that. So you literally got angels that's literally waiting, like, and all they doing is waiting on that decree from the Most High to go and tear up mankind, man. Right? The wicked. Right? So these are not fallen angels. These are not angels that did something wrong. These are not angels that did something bad. These are angels that are created for a specific time, place, and thing. Right? Let's get some more. Let's get an account. Let's get Sirach, or let's get 1 Kings chapter 22. 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 19. All right. This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 19. And it reads, and he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right and on his left, and on his Salakia, on his right hand and on his left, right? So he's seeing the Most High sitting on his throne, and he see the angels that are on the right hand side, and he see the angels that are on the left hand side. That's what the hosts are, right? You got angels on the right and angels on the left. The angels on the right are the righteous angels. The angels on the left are the wicked angels. They're not necessarily wicked. They just the angels that put forth out that wicked energy, though, right? Verse 20. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said in this manner, and another said on that manner. So the Lord, the Most High, is basically they having a council in the heavens right now. And the Lord is saying, look, who shall go persuade Ahab that he shall fall at Ramoth Gilead, right? So, and they said that one said in this manner and one said in that manner. So that means they all throwing out their different ideas, right? Let's read on. Verse 21. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. Now let's see how he gonna persuade him. Let's see what's gonna happen. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? Meaning, okay, what you gonna do? How you gonna do it? And he said, I will go forth and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. Now, he said, I'm gonna go forth and be a lying spirit. If the Lord didn't have these angels that was working for him, right? Or you had demons and fallen angels and stuff up there, or whatever the case may be, the Lord should have sent him away. According to these people, then he should have got bound, and he should have got thrown and sent to the earth and got put in chains, because he's saying something wicked. He said, I will go forth and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets, right? But let's see what the Lord said. I will go forth and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. So the Lord didn't call him wicked. He didn't destroy him. He didn't send him down to the earth. He didn't say, you banished and gonna get put in chains forever and ever and ever. No, the Lord said, look, okay. He said, okay, you're going to persuade him and you're going to prevail, meaning I'm going to allow you to be able to go through with this, right? You're going to prevail also, right? It said, now go forth and do so. Straight like that. He told the angels, look, all right, go forth and do so. So this whole notion that you got evil angels and they going against the Most High and they fighting against the Most High and all this and that, that's madness, man. The Lord got all things under subjection, man. All things are under subjection unto him. These demons work for the Most High, man. Didn't the Lord say in the book of Deuteronomy, I kill and I make alive, I wound and I heal? I, the Lord, do all these things. So y'all give too much credit, man, to damn Satan, man, and his little groupie angels or whatever you want to call them. Y'all give too much. That's the Lord, man. The Lord doing that, right? And that's a perfect example, man. Even in the book of Job, the first chapter, when the Lord called the sons of God up, Satan came too. Why? Because he's a son of God, man. Straight like that. Straight like that. A lot of people can't comprehend that. These Christianity folk and stuff, man, they can't. What? Yes. He's a son of God. Satan has never transgressed the word of the Lord. Anything the Lord tells Satan to do, Satan say, Khan, Abba, and he go forth and he do it happily, man. He do it happily, man. Right? Let's get that in the book of Sirach, man. Right? Let's get that in the book of Sirach, chapter 39. The Lord got these spirits created for that purpose, man. Right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 28. And it reads, there be spirits that are created for vengeance. I'm going to read that again. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Straight like that. Straight like that, man. They appease the wrath of him that made them. So they happy to, when the Lord say, look, I need you to go kill these people. Look, they happy to go do that. I need you to go do this or do that. Look, them so-called demons, they go down there and do that stuff happily for the Lord, man. And they make them proud when they do it too. Like I said, they say, Khan, Abba, and they go forth and do so, man. Right? Read on. Let's read on. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon the earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. Right? So they waiting, they waiting for the Lord to give them a commandment, man. They waiting on the Lord to give them a commandment. Right? As soon as he get them the commandment, look, they ready. I'm going to read that again, man. It says, they shall rejoice at his commandment, meaning they happy, man, to fulfill the will of the Lord, man. These angels not bucking up against the Most High. Satan not bucking up against the Most High, man. No. It says, they shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. Straight like that, man. So this whole notion of damn fallen angels, you had Satan and a couple of his little posse people or whatever. They was, you feel me? They like, hey man, I don't like how Yahweh Shah be over there talking his mess all the time. He be trying to boss me around and everything. And then Michael come over there and he like, what you talking about? And he like, man, nothing, man, going somewhere. And then Michael get all big with him and he like, bro, what you talking about? You feel me? Now they arguing, right? Next thing you know, Satan done punch Michael. Then you got Yahweh Shah, he come over there, right? And him and Satan and Yahweh Shah and Satan start fighting, right? The Most High sitting on his throne and he leaning over like, hey, what y'all doing in there? Right? And then he found out that they in there fighting. So then the Lord banished Satan and he put him down on earth. Then you got angels that having sex with humans. You got giants going on the earth, right? Then the Most High bound them under the ground forever in chains. It's madness, man. That's not what the scripture said. That's why you got to rightly go in these scriptures and divide the word of truth, man. And go precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, man. Right? So, want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Gomalak Yahweh Shah. Right? Lord willing, man, you was edified through the spirit, man, with this video. Fallen angels, man. No such thing, man. The book of Enoch. Hey, burn it, man. Use it for toilet tissue, right? Play basketball with it, right? It's contrary to the scriptures, and it goes against what the scriptures say, man. And we know that the scriptures is pure truth, life, and knowledge, man, right? So, like I said, Lord willing, hopefully y'all was edified, right? Want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua once again, man, right? Continue to endure, Israel, Salakia. Continue to endure, right? Continue to put on the armor of the Most High, right? Have your sword, your helmet, your breastplate, right? Your shoes, your shield, right? And your sword, right? So you could be able to go against the principalities of the devil, man. So you won't be consumed by darkness, man. You'll be able to fight these things off with the word of the Lord, right? And the proper understanding, prayer and fasting, right? The end times coming, Israel, make sure y'all ready, praying, fasting, keeping the Most High first through all things, get your households in order, right? Call out Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.